Hi everyone, welcome to Advanced Financial Management. And from this subject, I am going to discuss the one of the important topic that is Islamic finance. Of course, we might have heard about the Islamic finance, their operation, and the purpose is different from the common business operations. So in this session, I am going to introduce the concept of Islamic finance. And before that, we will understand the meaning of Islamic finance. Here, Islamic finance operates same like as other common businesses and banks, except that operates in accordance with the principles of Islamic law. So for them also, they have their own regulatory body like Sharia board, and how in India we have a Reserve Bank of India for operating all those financial instruments. So same like that, for Islamic finance also having their own regulatory body or law, that is Sharia board. And the main purpose of Islamic finance is your sharing of profit and losses. That means, if any parties join together and get started with business, if they earn profit, as per the agreement, both parties supposed to share the profit. Not only a profit, even losses also can be shared. And the secondly, purpose of Islamic finance is no interest. That is a riba. So interest is not allowed, or else interest is not charged. In case if any person availing or taken learn. Anyway, I will explain more about the riba in next coming slide. And the third purpose of Islamic finance is the restricted trade Islamically accepted transactions. That means Islamic finance will not allow them to invest in the specific areas, like alcohol, gambling, speculation, investment in any pork-related items. Okay, these are all restricted in the Islamic countries. So these are the three major areas where they want to be. And this is a simple introduction about the Islamic finance. At the same time, they are also offering you different types of Islamic products to their Islamic countries. In case if any one party required or need to be start a business or required to buy a machinery, here banks will help and support them to make it happen. How it means, instead of interest being charged, returns are earned by channeling funds into an underlying investment activity. So instead of charging interest, whatever they earn, the same money going to be used for some other activity, which will earn profit. The investor is rewarded by a share in the profit after management fees deducted by the fund. The main Islamic finance products are Marbaha, that is credit, Izaram, lease finance. That means we used to call these names in our language. But in Islamic countries, they call it as a Marbaha, Izara, Sukuk, Nadirabah, that is VPT finance, Musharabah, venture capital, and Istism, our contract. So I am going to discuss some of the important Islamic products and their meaning and purpose. But before that, let me explain how this Islamic finance functions. Okay. So as I already told you that they have their own body or law that is called as Sharia law, ensure that all products and services offered by the Islamic bank are conflicting with the principles of Sharia rules. You see the first important thing. And the second important thing is here, whatever the different type or the new instrument want to introduce in the Islamic countries, they have their one separate committee or board to investigate, to verify, to see the possibilities which is connecting with their main purpose or not. In case if the Sharia board is interested to introduce any new instrument, the instrument should meet the requirement or fulfill the requirements of Sharia board. And how the Sharia board works is in case if one party need one missionary or require one missionary to start a business. Generally in India, how it works, how banks are doing here. If any one person visit a bank, bank people scrutinize and verify the documents submitted by the client. If they are happy, then the loan amount will be sanctioned to the client. And what the client used to do, using same money for buying a machinery for running the business. This is the common process in India. But in Islamic countries, after scrutinizing and verifying all the documents and identifying the real purpose of the client, they will not give money and they will not ready money to the client. What the banks, the Islamic bank used to do, they will buy the machinery on behalf of the client and give it to him. That means they will not give money directly to the client. The banks, Islamic banks buy a machinery on behalf of the client and give it to him. And the client used to pay monthly loans. Just like if you are not, even in our country also, or in the same. But the thing is here, in case of client is failed to pay only one EMI or two EMIs, Islamic banks will not charge anything. But in India, if 1 month is missing, they will charge and some additional things and they will ask you to pay some extra fine. Okay, like that they charge in different ways. But Islamic country, they will not charge anything for 2 to 3 months. So that is another main purpose of Islamic finance and the Islamic family. And this is the operations of Islamic banks. And the level disclose some of the important Islamic products. One is Murabaha. So Murabaha is a type of credit card loan. The main difference is between Murabaha and a loan card. The bank will take actual constructive or physical ownership of the asset. Just again, the example earlier, right? Instead of giving money to the client, the bank itself only buying one machinery and giving to the client, but the ownership provides control with the bank. Once the client completed all the EMIs successfully for a certain period of time, ownership rights will be transferred to the court. There is a difference between other banks and Islamic mosques. The asset is then sold onto the borrower or buyer for a profit. But they are allowed to pay the bank over a set number of installments, which they already explained. The period of the payment could be extended, but no penalties or additional markup may be available to bank. If a client is delayed to pay in EMIs, there is no additional charges. But other than Islamic banks, they charge, they paying or paying some different benefits. And the early payment and discounts are also not allowed. Although the financial may choose to give discount. So this is about the Marabaha. And the second one is almost equivalent to the lease. We know how lease contracts made in India. Of course, they're also saying again, here ownership rights will not be on the election. Okay, yes. So here Israel is defined as when the use of the underlying asset or service is transferred for consideration. Under this concept, the bank makes available to the customer the use of assets or equipment such as plant, office, automation, or motor vehicles for a fixed period and price. So here banks making available to the customer to use of the asset for a certain period. That means bank loan is given and they are not approaching any other, I mean, client is not approaching any other party. And some of these specifications of an insurer contract includes the use of the leased asset must be specified in the contract. Name, details, contract, use of asset, where the identity, period, time, payments, everything will be included. Second one, the lessor, that is the bank, is responsible for the major maintenance of the underlying asset. So bank itself only responsible for maintaining, but if an Indian lease contract, whoever going to use the asset, generally lessee. Lessee is the responsible for any damages. But in Islamic finance, the main owner and the bank itself only maintain the any losses. And third one, the lessee is held for maintaining the asset in good shape. At the same time, lessee should not take advantage of this. So the lessee should also maintain the asset in a good shape. Otherwise, if over damages or more problems in any machinery, definitely lesser will come. So this is the second part. The remaining four Islamic products will be discussed in the next coming video. Thank you so much. Have a nice day.